Hello to all the Web3 enthusiasts out there. This is Max speaking, and this is a new exciting episode of Synopsis. We continue our Bitget talks here and bring in new guests for you guys. So please meet our today's expert, Ignacio Agirre, CMO of Bitget. Hi, Ignacio. How are you today?
Hey, Max. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm doing great. I think for me, it's amazing to be talking to people in the crypto space and talking to people who actually are interested. Sometimes when I talk to people that don't know about crypto, it's hard, but it's great to speak to peers and people who are in the industry. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, always a pleasure to see new experts, new faces with a fresh views here. And today's discussion will be devoted, of course, mainly to Bitget, but it's involves so many aspects of Web3 industry, trading, investing. So, and of course, we have a bunch of questions prepared. If you don't mind, let's get straight to the action.
Cool.
Well, to begin with, and to warm up a little bit, since it's the first time here at Synopsis, could you please go ahead with introduction? Tell us about your background, track record, introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, perfect, Max. So my name is Ignacio. I'm currently the global CMO of Bitget. So to tell you a little bit about my background, I'm a computer engineer. So I come from a technical background. At some point, I realized that I didn't want to be programming for the rest of my life. So I pretty much moved to business. I have been pretty much working in tech. I'm a super computer nerd, the guy who buys every gadget in the first version and then regrets it because then there's like the bugs. So then the second version is a little bit better. I moved into the blockchain space around 2015. So now I have been pretty much working fully in crypto for almost 7 years. So I think one of the biggest things that I can add from the terms of value is that I can really understand the background of like the technical specs within a product, and how to kind of translate this into a simple way to kind of simplify complex solutions and find a proper, easy narrative to create. So I think that's what's pretty. I mean, the blockchain side of crypto, I'm really passionate about it. So I think it's pretty exciting to see everything how innovative this world is. I think all of us in this space can see how like projects move in a matter of hours and seconds. So super happy to be here and be able to express on my side how we view things.
Got it. Thanks for sharing. So, Chief Marketing Officer with a strong technical background sounds like a crazy combination in a good way, of course. And let's move on. And of course, there's no need to introduce Bitget. Everyone knows, especially at Synopsis. But let's devote the first block to discussing like the universal exchange positioning. And the first question, actually, as it is Ignacio, how do you assess Bitget's current position as a universal exchange? What are the key advantages of UEX compared to traditional or specialized platforms?
So I think UEX was just a matter of something that needed to happen. It's not like we just created something out of thin air. This comes from let's say the evolution of exchanges. I recently gave a keynote and I matched kind of the evolution of exchanges together with music. So the cassette era, where it was like only one artist, just a few songs, which was like with the initial part of exchanges in the world, where you could maybe buy 1, 2, or 3 tokens, and how this evolved into then the digital era, CDs, then what I like to call the iPod era, 1,000 songs in your pocket, 1,000 tokens. And I think where like universal exchange pretty much converts into the streaming era. So this means how people now with Spotify, they have access to all the songs that they wanted. When I was young, I had to wait in the radio to hear my song, I had to wait or buy a cassette to be able to hear a song like 24/7. So I think UEX, the key advantages of UEX is that we pretty much, while everyone was fighting between DeFi, CeFi, TradFi, we found that people wanted to have all their assets in one single platform. So UEX is not just having this like the centralized, and the TradFi in one single place under one single roof with a good interface and a good level of security, but it also involves the AI part of the business. So I mean, I think AI is something that some products just throw the word out there, but we took it very seriously. So we have an AI assistant that can help you place the trades. And I think that's how evolution will go. Coming from a technical background, I can tell you kind of like vibe coding. People now can code just by doing a prompt. I had to go 4 years through school to be able to code, and now someone can just create a prompt. So the advantage about UEX versus traditional platforms is that I think people want simple things. They want to simplify the way they work, and they want to have like be able to have the best information available. So the fact that everything sits in one single platform, you don't have to jump from one app to the other, and be able to worry about, let's say, operational things. UEX pretty much puts everything into one single place, and the idea is to be able to bring all the assets that people want to trade. So just to kind of conclude this, it's we launched gold in January. So like even if you're a crypto trader, we all know that gold is kind of like a security blanket for investors. So the fact that you had to go somewhere else to get it, now you have tokenized gold, which is liquid, so it can be available anytime, anywhere, like 24/7. So I think it's the value that you bring. It's not just about tokenized things or sell different things. It's about the availability and how people expect now everything to be available in real time, 24/7.
Wow, sounds amazing. Thanks for a pretty detailed answer. And well, seems like we're really at the new stage of evolution. And no doubt you are the very right person to guide us through this new stage, at least its beginning. And well, could you please highlight what new opportunities does UX offer for both institutional and retail investors?
Yeah, sure. I think it's a diversity. I think it's the fact that you can now sit under one single roof and have access to different type of assets. Well, you're gonna look maybe for, I mean, institutional investors are gonna maybe look for more like settle, like they're gonna want to use, for example, stable coins for settlement. They're gonna want to have some instruments which are more like appropriate or more like adapt to their risk level. I think we offer this to them. So we offer a sturdy platform with a lot of liquidity where they can come and trade. On the retail side, I think we offer one of the new opportunities is that the traditional guy who used to buy stocks can now buy stocks in our platform. Now, what I like to say, like as part of what I told you in the last answer, is sometimes people just say like tokenized ice cream and things that make no sense. So I think tokenization and technology come to help people. So people who maybe now trade stocks and they have to, for example, if you're trading US stocks, you have to pretty much use the times of Wall Street. But when you tokenize some of these tokens, they're tradable anytime. So even if you want to sell some stocks on a Saturday night, you can still do it. So I think the value here is that we're pretty much bringing different profiles of investors, which maybe at some point this will be their first, let's say, their first interaction with the blockchain space with a traditional asset, and maybe then they'll have an appetite to kind of move into the crypto space. So I think what we offer is an opportunity to have many assets which maybe were not available because of your geographic location. Let's say US stocks. In some of the Latin countries, as an example, you cannot buy US stocks, but now you can, and you can do it in a tokenized way 24/7.
Wow, awesome. So the opportunities are absolutely clear now. And addressing to your first answer, how important is the integration of spot, futures, AI trading infrastructure within UX for developing the entire Bitget ecosystem?
Well, I mean, I think that's the thing. So markets move, macro events impact how the way finance and investors move their money. So the fact that you don't have to go somewhere else definitely makes a clear point for investors. But also, if you think about, for example, AI. So one of the biggest challenges I believe for traders is just the simple fact of being humans. Just having a heartbeat, because emotions get into in like between you and the trades. So this comes sometimes with panic selling and things that where maybe you shouldn't have sold. So it's not that AI will now take over everything, but even very, very professional and experienced investors sometimes can make a panic sell, or they can fall into something where maybe it wasn't the right thing. So the fact that AI comes within these assets, on one side, it can help you evaluate or how your platform is balanced, like how your portfolio is balanced. So it can help you rebalance your portfolio with a lower risk. It can also help you place these trades. And if you're like an early investor, you don't have a lot of experience, you can ask questions. You can get more educated decisions that can be made. And if you're a very advanced trader, you can validate all the trades that you want. So this gives you an extra set of eyes that are not going to make a decision based on emotions, but it's going to be based on facts and data, which I think it's what people want, right? You want to be able to use all the things that are available around you. And instead of having to jump from different tabs, different pages, different everything, you have everything with one AI assistant that can help you give you the right points or validation points that you want in order to play these trades.
Well, sounds amazing. And besides integrating trading infrastructure, Bitget actively integrates TradFi products such as stocks, indexes, currencies. How do you evaluate the potential synergy between cryptocurrencies and traditional markets?
I think I think today we talk about crypto and it's crypto in another place. But the natural evolution is that it's going to mix, you know? I think stable coins came now with all the institutional adoption. We saw that stable coins pretty much is the connective tissue, let's say, between TradFi and crypto or the blockchain space. So I think when you think about what is the synergy, it's gonna integrate, because the same way that we exchanges are we're bringing TradFi into our platforms. We see the same thing on traditional finance. I mean, you can see now banks, even like traditional banks in Germany, are now allowing you to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. You would have never thought about that. Now, I think the fact is that some of this, I think blockchain came to pretty much replace legacy financial systems. Because if you think about traditional finance, let's say something like Swift rails. Swift, I think they have been around for 40, 50 years. And sometimes like these trades, if you want to, even let's forget about trades. If you want to send money, sometimes you will send money and they will tell you this will take between 2 or 3 working days. And also you can do it between these times, you know? So I think real-time access to money is what's bringing these two worlds together. Because I think more than fighting ones against the other, I think they're going to be connected. And the fact that I think payments is something that I see a lot of evolution now within the crypto space, because I think we built a lot in the past years based on hype, but I think we now are building for utility. So obviously there are great things about the TradFi system that need to be adopted, but I think platforms that were built within blockchain rails are the ones who are going to kind of move towards the future. So I think it's about taking the best of both worlds and how you integrate them.
Well, moving towards the bright future, building for utility, and everything what's been said, like, sounds really encouraging. And I believe all the crypto enthusiasts have been looking forward to removing these borders between crypto and TradFi. And well, what do you say? Sounds really encouraging and promising. And speaking about the expectation, just your personal point of view, Ignacio, what share of global stock trading could be tokenized by, let's say, 2040? And what opportunities does this create for traders and investors?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, in our view, tokenization of equities could represent a significant share of the global stock trading by 2030. Potentially could be up to 30 or 40%, especially as blockchain infrastructure matures and regulatory frameworks gradually adapt to the digital asset markets. So several industry predictions already point that it's going to be a 15 to 30 trillion tokenized asset market, with equities expected to represent a meaningful portion of that transformation. As I said, this tokenization, it's not just because a lot of people, as I said, there's these are buzzwords, you know, AI, tokenization. Some people just throw them around, but I think as long as it adds value, that's where the magic is going to happen. So for traders and investors, tokenization fundamentally changes market access. First, it lowers barriers to entry. So this allows global participants to access traditionally restricted markets without the limitations of geography. That was what I was saying before. The fact that you're living anywhere in the world is not going to limit the access of the financial systems that you get. Now, when you think about a global world, not everyone has the same opportunities because, like, if you live in more like emerging markets or remote locations, you might not have access to all these things. So tokenization brings this really, like, it democratizes and it lets everyone have a chance to have access to these products, to these projects. And also fractional ownership becomes far more efficient because this enables investors to allocate capital more like precisely across different, let's say, stocks or portfolios. So this means that you don't have to, I mean, I remember like at some point when you would see stocks that were worth $1,000. In the past, if you wanted to invest, you had to get this $1,000. This meant that if you had $300, you couldn't say, I want to kind of buy a fraction of this stock. You couldn't do it. So tokenization solves this problem. The second part is tokenized equities introduce also continuous 24/7 market accessibility, which I already mentioned. So this this aligns traditional assets more closely to the way of or the nature of crypto markets, which is alive and fully functional 24/7. So this also opens opportunities for arbitrage, hedging, and cross-asset strategies that were very difficult to execute across the connected financial systems in the past. And I think finally, the integration of tokenized stocks into platforms that combine crypto, derivatives, and TradFi instruments, such as us with a universal exchange, it creates like a more, let's say, unified trading environment. So this means that the platform is going to be the same, so the same experience. So this doesn't mean that just because it's going to be easier. So we want to make this platform that pretty much unifies the experience. And at some point, I think we're going to take the crypto out of this, and they're just going to be financial like assets or investment opportunities. But today, we're still very focused into the crypto. So I think when we don't talk about crypto anymore, I think that's when we're going to be able to have a more mainstream market. Because when I talk to people, I say, like, if you are fine, let's say that you have $10,000 in a traditional world, you find a product that gives you the yield that you want. You don't care if it's programmed in PHP, in HTML, in JavaScript. You don't go to the bank and you ask them, hey, what is this product built on? You don't care. You just want the yield. So I think today we still speak a lot about technicalities. We still talk a lot about what blockchain it's based on. When people don't care, they just want the yield that they don't want. They just want a product. So I think this is definitely something that's going to help. And I think, as I said, a lot of traditional players are going to come to tokenize stocks, not because it's tokenized, not because it's crypto, but of the value that it brings, the instant availability of their funds, the liquidity that it's kind of tied to.
Wow, pretty detailed, and once again, and thanks for managing to put so much information in order. I believe it must be clear for everyone, but addressing to our viewers. So if you guys have any more questions left after today's discussions, don't hesitate to drop it in the comment section, and we will highlight it in the new episodes. Hopefully, Ignacio will join. And well, from what you say, everything actually sounds amazing. And let's cover one of the last, but still one of the most important aspects. So what hedging or diversification tools does Bitget offer for clients operating at the intersection of TradFi and crypto assets?
So I think here's where the TradFi side comes into play. So, I mean, I think also sometimes we talk about crypto investors, right? I think they're investors because even though they invest in crypto, a lot of them, they're still buying metals, they're still buying oil, they're still buying many different things because at the end, they see the opportunity and they trade. So the fact, as I said, that you can, at some point, if the market is shaky or is very volatile, in a matter of 2 clicks, you can move some of your investments in crypto or in anything that you have, stocks, they can go into gold. And then in a matter of 2 clicks, you can also send them to the other side. So I think the fact that you also don't have to rely on let's say, the crypto markets, you now have access to like Forex, you have access to metals, you have access to all these different type of assets that now are unified under one place. So you don't have to think about, hey, I have an app, so I want to buy gold, I go to an app. I want to buy stocks, I go to another app. I want to buy crypto in this blockchain, I go to another app. So everything is under one place. And I think the fact that you're like within a centralized and a safe ecosystem, this definitely helps customers to also bring this trust to be able to focus not on, oh, is this a safe environment, but more about just thinking about what are the trades that you want to do. Now, again, all this information can be used with our AI assistant Get Agent. So this also brings a lot of value.
Got it. And before moving deeper to the block devoted to like AI trading, let's draw a line a little bit and drop one extremely relevant question in between. So we're living in a crazy world, in the crazy times. So Ignacio, how do current geopolitical events, from your perspective, affect crypto investors' strategies? And do you see Bitcoin gaining increasing independence from global politics?
I mean, that's a very good question. From my side, I do believe that pretty much Bitcoin as an asset has evolved. So I think if you think about 4 or 5 years ago, if you would let's just think about it. Like if you would think about putting Bitcoin into your treasury, I would call it a leap of faith. It would be a wild thing to do. Why? Because the infrastructure was not ready, the markets were not ready, the products were not ready for a treasury. Now you have ETFs, you have all these products, you can have exposure indirectly through stocks like maybe Strategy or some of the products that they sell. So I think that Bitcoin is definitely gaining independence, and I think now we see how like countries, companies, everyone is kind of moving into it because of the maturity that it comes with. So I do believe that we're going to see like in the future, the same way we're going to see people who want direct, let's say, exposure to Bitcoin, but also a lot of companies are putting Bitcoin in their treasuries. So I think this is something that definitely is going to evolve into making Bitcoin a more, let's say, mature asset, not only for retail, but also for institutional investors. And I'm happy to see what's going to come in the next 2-3 years. So, I mean, we know that there are cycles. So obviously there's like bear bull markets, but still we can see how strong like the position from Bitcoin has been.
Awesome. So let's speak a little bit about the future, about these 2-3 years, maybe even more, and about technology. So the first question from this blog would be, how do you assess the potential of AI trading and autonomous trading agents in the crypto market?
Yeah, so I mean, today we're seeing that AI will definitely come into play. Why? Because as I said, for us, it's just like the next thing. The same way people vibe code today, they're gonna let's say you wanna call it vibe trading. They're gonna use a lot of AI. I still think that we're not in the place where it's gonna be just autonomous. I still think that a lot of people want to have control about what they do. But I think that's where technology comes and kicks in. So we see a new generation of analytics and AI infrastructure that's going to help traders move from just observing the market to actively interacting with it in a more intelligent way. So on Bitget, we have several tools that play a key role in this process. One of the most important components, which was recently launched, is Agent Hub. So this serves as the core AI trading infrastructure. So it allows AI agents to access real-time market data. It can run strategies and execute trades through standardized interfaces. So this reduces the technical barriers that previously limited algorithmic trading happened to institutional players. So I think by integrating technologies such as the Model Context Protocol, REST, WebSocket, APIs, Agent Hub creates a full pipeline from market analysis to live trade execution. So this means that AI models can monitor markets continuously, they can evaluate trading opportunities, and they can act on them within the same environment. We also have another important layer, which is Gracie AI. I don't know if you're familiar, but this one focuses more on the strategic insights and decision-making support. So instead of simply generating trading signals, it helps users to interpret market trends and understand like macro narratives. And it can think about how the portfolio is going to position over longer cycles. So this gives you a little bit more than just like the next hour, but it gives you a little bit more of length and seeing how your portfolio is going to perform on a, let's say, on a longer trading period.
Awesome. So this is where the technical side of Ignacio comes into play. And well, with all these innovations, waves of technologies, game-changing stages of trading, like AI and AI agents, what about security? How does Bitget plan to maintain a balance between innovation and actually staying safe for users?
So I think, like, innovate. I mean, when you think about exchanges, let's say, I think there are three things that are going to be crucial. One is going to be liquidity, because liquidity pretty much brings efficiency into play. Second part is going to be innovation, because innovation, if you don't innovate, you die. And the third one is going to be, if you want to call it, kind of like the compliance and security side. So I think those three cannot leave one without the other, because if you don't innovate, someone does, and you get outside. Security is definitely one of the most important sides for us. So I think for us, we have we're using AI to evaluate real-time data, so we can flag anything. If anything happens, we can flag it faster. And I think everyone is going to be using this on the security side. Also, we are very worried about our customer funds. We have a proof of reserves, which is live. So if you go to our website, you're going to be able to verify it. Because some people say that they have the proof of reserves, but I think it's not just saying it. It should be available for people to consult and to see that the funds are there. We also have a protection fund. So a protection fund, which in the last, I think, 6 months, the average has been around 500 million. And also we have a very strong team that pretty much is developing frameworks and is developing the technology side, so that our users can feel safe, and it's at our forefront. I think security. Some people talk about security as a product feature, but I think it's an underlying layer that should be like it shouldn't be like a matter of how you should have the top security. It doesn't matter what product you are, because at the end, these are your clients' funds. So for us, it's super important and at the forefront. And yes, innovation. I mean, it comes with new products, new protocols. But at the end, what we do is we bring them into a centralized platform where we can control the environment.
Sounds extremely, I would say, confident for me, and feeling safe for my funds and for the future. Well, and we speak a lot about users, traders, investors today. So let's just draw some image of the average Bitget user right now. So could you tell us which segments of traders and or investors are currently the most active on Bitget?
So I think for us, we're a platform which focuses into very advanced. I mean, on one side, we have very advanced trading futures. We have bots. We have all these products that like advanced traders really use. So for us, the core has always been, let's say, the crypto side. But it was super crazy to see when we brought TradFi into the platform, how much how big the volume was of investment. Like the trading volume was actually huge. For me, it's not that I think a lot of people on one side, maybe they were new users, so they wanted to kind of be able to like they wanted to explore maybe with the TradFi side in a crypto platform. But also, I'm pretty sure, as I said, that some people maybe had tokenized stocks or stocks in another platform. And when they saw the ease of use and how easy it was and how like familiar and everything can be centralized in one single place, so you can have a view of your whole portfolio, I think a lot of them also like kind of brought their other assets into the platform where they already feel safe and they have been trading for years. So I think we're gonna see a mix of some new TradFi people who are first gonna come for the TradFi products, but eventually they're gonna dip their toes into crypto. But I think the core of us is definitely the crypto traders.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what about the current image of the current users. And so, of course, the growth and evolution is impossible without like fresh blood, without onboarding new users, especially not just hunting from other platforms, but those who came from TradFi and making their first steps in crypto trading investments. So what new opportunities do you see for beginner traders and young professionals in the crypto and TradFi industries?
So I think the fact. So I'm going to answer this with like my personal experience.
Sure.
When I was young, unfortunately, I was born and raised in Mexico City, and investment opportunities were not like you didn't have that many platforms or places where you could kind of invest. And the biggest problem, I mean, it was different times too, but in order to make an investment, there was like a minimum amount of money. So I think for my generation, we had a more limited exposure to investments. So it was kind of like harder because maybe you had to have more money, and it wasn't like very common for young people to be able to trade. I think the fact that new generations are being born in a digital age, so they're born, I mean, by the time they're 16, they definitely have a phone in their hands. They have access to information, they have access to markets, they have access to all these different tools. And at the end of the day, now you have products like AI, like Get Agent, which is something that can help you. You can ask about what would be a good position or a good trade that you can place. You can ask about what type of tokens are now, like can you give me a list of new tokens with this amount of market cap? So you have a lot of tools that can help you be able to place your first trade. I don't know how long have you have been in this space, but I remember buying crypto in a page. I think the first time I bought crypto, I was in a page and I was like, I had to put my credit card in, and I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? I remember I hesitated for like 30 minutes until I said, like, okay, I'll buy it. Boom. I clicked on it. Then it told me, like, perfect. The charge was made, and I was waiting in my wallet, just refreshing to see when the assets came. And then when they came, the funny thing is, the assets came out, but I couldn't do anything. I could just look at them. And I would have to sit down, have my phone like this, and just look at it until it moved a little bit. But there was no utility. So I think the fact of the maturity of this market, all the tools that are available, you have AI assistants that can help you understand more. There's so much access to education. And I think that's going to be definitely one of the most important things for us marketers out there. I think on one side, we want to simplify and we want to offer a product that people can understand. But on the second part, it's also about education. You mentioned something very important now. When you said like, I mean, it's not only about trying to get some people who are already trading in another platform, which is simple because they already understand the play, but you still have to educate all this big layer of people, which I think us, the people who live and work in the crypto space, we live an echo chamber of crypto. Because if I go to Twitter, I see crypto. If I go to Instagram, I see crypto. If I open my YouTube, there's definitely going to be some crypto. But this is not the reality for the rest of the world. So I don't know, but I think it's like 5% of the world actually is into crypto. So there's a 95% rest of them who are not there today. Now, the fact that you now have exchanges like us that have a debit card tied to it, this means that there's a possibility that young people will never maybe have a bank, because now you have a crypto exchange which has forex. You have all the currencies available for you. You have a debit card. They're more digital, so they don't want to go and sit in a bank branch. They don't want to go and sit there and ask and sign papers. They want instant access. They're what I like to call the streaming platform generation, where they were born digital. So for me, the world turned digital at a point, and the experience wasn't that great. Let's think about products like, for example, I don't know if you ever used LimeWire or Napster.
Me personally, not.
No, okay. Well, Napster was like a peer-to-peer where you could trade like a files and MP3 songs and stuff. When you look at the platform, Max, it's absolutely horrible, but it served the purpose. But we were not used to live in a world where UX was so important. So they gave us a product, it served the purpose, we were happy. But now people want a good experience, and that's where they're going to base themselves at. I can still remember at some point when I have two kids. When I had my first baby, I remember that I would have to go and buy diapers. And one day I bought the diapers in Amazon, and the experience was so good that even though they were a little bit more expensive, I would just do it there because the experience was so simple. So I think young professionals are searching for good opportunities, places where they can trade, places where they can start like their, let's say, like their first investments. And I think financial inclusion comes at a younger age. So I think here is where we're going to see a lot of these beginner traders using AI to place their first trades. Now you can ask, for example, you can ask an agent to buy Bitcoin for you in the platform. So you don't even have to go and click the buttons. You can ask to place a trade for you. So we're simplifying, and I think that's how the world is kind of moving. So I think we're going to evolve into something more advanced. And I think at the end of the day, traders are going to still have the control, but they're going to be able to have very powerful AI tools to help them make the decisions.
Wow, what a brilliant answer. Thanks for addressing to your personal experience. Always really interesting to know such kind of stories and for other great examples. So there is a very interesting point in all of that, that while the entire industry in terms of utility and in terms of values is maturing, seems like that the audience age in average is like getting younger and younger, and you actually understand what you are building, and what's more important, you understand who are you building it for. And I think it's a very, very important feature for like a C-level such as you are. So yeah, thank you once again for sharing, and it was a really pleasant and insightful answer. So I believe I will rewatch it several times. And in this fluent and easygoing manner, we came up to the final traditional part of all of our podcasts. So Ignacio, could you please address directly to our audience right now, and with some piece of advice you'd like to give to investors who want to diversify a portfolio across crypto, tokenized assets, and traditional markets?
Yeah, so I mean, I think my advice would be to just start. I think a lot of us are blocked by the fact that you don't want to, like, it's hard to take that first step. So it's like the first time, as I told you with experience, the first time I bought, it was hard, but the second one was simple because I know that it was going to arrive. So I think that it's just about, on one side, investing in something that they understand. I think it's important that when you're going to make an investment, you can do research on what you're buying, and that you also trust the technology. You should be able to at least understand what is it that you're putting your money into. And obviously, there's going to be people who want to invest in meme coins, and that's fine. I think everyone has their risk appetite. Just if you want to build a healthy portfolio, it's also about pretty much balancing it out. So have a part which is more like low risk, maybe lower yields. Then you can have something which is more volatile. And at the end of the day, as I say, it's more about understanding. Use the tools. So, for example, we have bots. So a lot of people are trying to time the market. And as I like to say, you can try to time the market. You can look at graphs all day, but at some point you're going to be sleeping. So this is where tools like the ones that we have, like bots, are helpful because you can put a stop. So, hey, if Bitcoin goes lower than that much, sell. Or, hey, if Bitcoin goes this low, buy. But the thing is, unless you're a 24-hour day trader and you never sleep, then it's fine. But the rest of us, we blink at some times, and the market moves when you blink. So use technology on your favor. Don't try to time the market, and use technology to help you make more safe and more like better trades, because the technology is there. Sometimes we don't want to understand it, or it's kind of scary when they tell you, oh, yeah, you can do a bot. And it's like, bots, no. So bear the technology, understand it, get into it, simulate trades, or sometimes I even tell people, just write where you wanted to trade. Maybe do it like, if you want to do it like analogically, take a notebook and write when you wanted to buy, and start like making some assumptions, but do it. Don't wait, because if you wait, it's gonna be too late. So it's I think everyone should just take the first step, but make it in a less volatile way. And I said, start with things that you can understand.
Wow, what a perfect, encouraging ending. Actually, nothing to say, nothing to add here. You guys heard everything. Just do it, as they say. Well, and yeah, from my end, I can only make a small call to action for you guys, not to miss the big things and to stay tuned. Follow Ignacio, follow Bitget, follow Synopsis. All the links are in description. Yeah, once again, to stay tuned and up to date, and just go try new opportunities, not to become outdated yourself. And well, for today, that's it. Thank you very much, Ignacio, for joining in. It was a pleasure to meet and a pleasure to know your points and know your views on the current market and the development of Bitget.
Thanks so much, Max. It was a pleasure speaking to you. And if you, as you said, like if someone has any questions, just drop them or contact me. I'm on Twitter. I'm like Ignacio Bitget. So whatever you guys need, let me know. And I'm super happy for you to have me here. So a pleasure and thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course. Once again, all the links are in the description. And thanks you guys for watching us till the end. Stay safe, stay tuned, and see you in more episodes. Bye-bye, everyone.
Cheers.